Episode 66, Year Without a Summer. So here is the diary of Eliza Cameron that we found, where she wrote in it, it was the year without a summer, 1816. Well, conditions must have been very difficult for the new settlers, the Highlanders in Glengarry in the late 1700s, early 1800s. And a year without a summer would make things even more difficult. Well, as you remember, we went through the caves of Lochiel and we found this diary by E.C. And we discovered that E.C. and H.M. were Eliza Cameron and Henry MacLeod. And if we go back and remember our ancestry, we were trying to look up the connections between them. And we don't have an Eliza on here, but Henry Angus MacLeod, right there in the middle, that should be connected to Eliza Cameron. Now, the first thing we saw was this map of Glengarry, my home, and it had several points of interest on it, as well as the Celtic cross. We had Alexandria and Dunvegan and John Bethune, David Thompson, Sir John Johnson, Duncan Cameron. We had St. Raphael's, Reverend Alexander MacDonald, Fraserfield, Dorothy Dunbarril, Maxville, Lochgarry, Glen Nevis, Martintown, Alan Macmillan, Greenfield. We had all of these names, Somerstown, Charlottenburg, Sir Roderick Cameron. We needed to know the significance of why these names were in the book. Some of them were related to fur traders, some of them related to the gold, like Caribou Cameron. We will just explore these as we go on. Then she had a little sketch of the Blue Chapel, a place of solace in my darkest times. Well, the Blue Chapel is no more. It was the early parish church site for the Highlanders in the St. Raphael's area, and it burned down. But this is what it might have looked like, an old chapel in the middle of the woods. She refers to the one tree, a tree marker. Trees were very important, and maybe this was a tree on this site. This tree also eventually died, and we're wondering if the burning of the Blue Chapel and the death of the tree were a result of the curse of the Clan MacLeod sword in Glengarry. They very well could have been. Now, she's saying in her diary that she's quickly learning new skills like making candles and making soap, and she's selling some of them to the shop. Now, making soap from potash and making candles was an extremely important skill to have in these early times in Glengarry. These are times, of course, where fire and shelter and having warmth and shelter were very important to survival. So learning how to make candles, which we see in this video, and learning how to make soap, learning how to construct buildings with basic tools, just a saw and maybe a pickaxe. These were all very important skills that these settlers had to develop. So Eliza spent a lot of time learning soap making and candle making. And she worked with lard, she worked with waxes, she worked with potash and lye. So these were skills that were to benefit her later on, as we heard in the diary. Now we have a little shot of some of the winter scenes in the Glengarry area. And for sure, this was an area that was cold.